Mars. We've been staring at its red, dusty surface for decades. We've sent orbiters, landers, and high-tech rovers. We thought we knew everything there was to know about the Martian desert. But we were looking at the wrong place. We were looking at the surface, while the real secret was hiding right beneath our feet. While NASA's rovers were busy searching for microscopic fossils in ancient craters, China's Zhurong rover arrived with something the Americans didn't have: a specialized ultra-high-frequency ground-penetrating radar. It didn't just take pictures, it X-rayed the planet. And what it found 35 meters beneath the vast plains of Utopia Planitia has sent shockwaves through the global scientific community. Imagine driving across a flat, featureless desert only for your sensors to reveal a hidden world beneath you. Not just rocks, not just sand, but 16 massive, perfectly geometric structures. 16 giant polygons aligned with a precision that seems to defy nature itself. This isn't just a cool find, this is a scientific impossibility. According to our current understanding of Mars, these structures shouldn't be there. They are too large, too deep, and far too organized. For months, the Chinese National Space Administration kept the raw data under wraps, but as the leaks began to surface, the truth became unavoidable. China didn't just find more dust, they found a buried map of a Mars we never knew existed. A Mars that looks suspiciously like it was once home to something massive. In this video, we are peeling back the layers of the red planet. We will analyze the leaked radar scans that NASA is refusing to comment on. We will explore why these 16 buried giants are located in a region where they are physically impossible to form. And finally, we will ask the question everyone is afraid to voice. Are we looking at a freak of nature, or are we looking at the foundations of a world that was intentionally buried billions of years ago? If you want to stay ahead of the curve on the secrets they aren't telling you about the space race, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We are diving into the deepest mysteries of the solar system, and you don't want to miss what we found in part 2. Trust me, the deeper we go, the stranger it gets. As the Zhurong rover slowly crawled across the desolate surface of Utopia Planitia, its radar was quietly mapping a ghost world beneath. 1.2 kilometers into its journey, the data revealed a pattern that stopped the Chinese research team in their tracks. It wasn't just one anomaly, it was 16. These aren't small rocks or random cracks. We are talking about polygonal wedges, geometric shapes that measure up to 70 meters across. To put that in perspective, each of these structures is nearly as wide as a football field, and they are bordered by massive wedges that plunge 30 meters deep into the Martian soil. But here's where the science starts to feel like science fiction. On Earth, we do see similar patterns. They're called patterned ground, found in the freezing tundras of Antarctica or the Arctic. They form when the ground freezes and contracts, creating cracks that fill with ice. But there are 3 massive problems with what China found on Mars. First, the scale. The Zhurong polygons are 10 times larger than anything we see on Earth. Imagine a natural process creating a perfect hexagon the size of a city block, buried 35 meters underground. Second, the location. Zhurong is sitting near the Martian equator, the warmest part of the planet. Today, it is a bone-dry desert. In the current climate, it is physically impossible for ice wedges like this to form there. It would be like finding a massive glacier buried under the sands of the Sahara. And third, the depth. These 16 giants are buried under 35 meters of solid sediment. This means they weren't formed recently. They're paleopolygons, ghosts of a Mars that existed 3 billion years ago. Something catastrophic happened to Mars, something that created these massive, organized structures and then buried them so deep that we needed an X-ray rover to find them. NASA's rovers have seen polygons on the surface before, but they were always small and wind-eroded. China's discovery is different. By looking deep, they found the foundation of an era we don't understand. Some scientists suggest it's just ancient ice, but others look at the perfect repeating geometry and wonder if you were going to build a foundation for a world, wouldn't it look exactly like this? As we speak, Chinese analysts are still decoding the density of these 35-meter deep structures. Are they just ice,
Or are they the hollowed-out remains of something else? Whatever the answer, one thing is clear. Mars is not a pile of red dust. It is a planet with a basement full of secrets.
If these 16 buried giants were created by ice and water, it leads us to a terrifying conclusion. For structures of this size to form at the Martian equator, the planet didn't just have a little bit of water, it was drowning in it. China's research team at the Institute of Geology and Geophysics has proposed a radical theory. These structures were formed during a period of extreme climatic fluctuations. In plain English, a global cataclysm. Roughly 3 billion years ago, the Martian atmosphere didn't just fade away, it was ripped away or collapsed. The massive floods that once carved the valleys of Utopia Planitia were suddenly frozen solid in a matter of days, if not hours. Imagine a flood so powerful it carries millions of tons of sediment, followed by a freeze so deep it cracks the very foundation of the planet. That is what is buried 35 meters beneath the Zhurong rover. But there's a detail in the Chinese data that has theorists losing their minds. The layers of soil above these polygons are completely different from the soil inside them. This suggests that after these geometric giants formed, they were hit by a massive secondary event, a great burying. A wall of mud and debris, possibly miles high, swept across the planet, sealing these structures in a vacuum-tight tomb. This is why they're so perfectly preserved. They haven't seen the sun in 3 billion years. But why does the geometry remain so sharp? If you leave a crack in the mud on Earth, it erodes, it softens. But the radar images from Zhurong show edges that are almost surgical. This has led to a growing underground theory among space analysts. What if China isn't looking at ice wedges at all? What if these polygons are the reinforced cells of an ancient planetary-scale infrastructure? Some argue that if an advanced civilization wanted to survive a dying atmosphere, they wouldn't build on the surface, they would build into it. They would create modular geometric habitats capable of withstanding the weight of an entire ocean. NASA scientists officially dismissed this, claiming nature loves hexagons. And they are right, look at beehives or basalt columns. But nature rarely builds hexagons the size of skyscrapers and then buries them in a perfect line across a 1,000-mile basin. The deeper China digs into the data, the more it looks like Mars was renovated by a massive force, either by a natural disaster beyond our comprehension, or by something that knew how to manipulate the very crust of the planet. And the most chilling part? These 16 polygons are just the ones Zhurong drove over. There could be millions of them, a grid covering the entire northern hemisphere, hidden forever under the red dust.
While the scientific world debates ice wedges and sediment layers, a much larger game is being played. The discovery of these 16 buried giants has turned the Mars race into a sprint for something far more valuable than scientific papers. It's about the first drill. NASA's Perseverance rover is currently searching for microscopic life in the Zhurong crater, but China's Zhurong has shown us that the real history of Mars isn't on the surface, it's locked in the basement. This is why China has officially accelerated its Mars sample return mission. They aren't just looking for rocks, they are looking for the DNA of these geometric structures. They want to be the first to touch the material that was buried 3 billion years ago. Think about what happens if we confirm these polygons aren't natural. If we find that the 120-degree angles are too perfect, or that the material inside is reinforced by elements that don't belong on Mars, it would mean that we aren't the first intelligent presence on this planet. It would mean that Mars didn't just die, it was abandoned. Some whistleblowers suggest that the silence from the West regarding China's radar data is intentional. If the public realizes that there is a massive geometric grid buried under the Martian equator, the pressure to send humans there would become overwhelming. We wouldn't be sending astronauts to explore, we would be sending them to an archaeological dig of a global scale. We've spent trillions of dollars looking for a single cell of a Martian microbe. But what if the answer is 2,180 trillion tons of geometric foundation? As you watch this, both China and the US are finalizing plans for their first crewed missions. The great burying that hid these structures for 3 billion years is finally being undone. We are about to crack the seal on a planetary tomb, and the question isn't just what is inside. The question is, are we ready for what we might find? Mars is no longer just a destination. It's a message written in 70-meter hexagons, buried 35 meters deep, waiting for someone to finally listen. China is already listening. India is joining the race. NASA is watching, and the red planet is finally starting to speak. If you think the moon was full of secrets, just wait until we start digging into Mars. Make sure to share your theories in the comments. Are these natural ice wedges, or is this something else entirely? Don't forget to check out our other investigation on the lunar anomaly.